Okay. Hi guys. What's happening? BigJackFilms here. Welcome to another live stream. In fact, I'm gonna put that. What was it here? Where was that up? Yeah, I'm gonna keep that on here. I'm trying to make this look really nice so you guys can see here. But yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome in, everybody in the chat. I'm just gonna try and get this all organized here so we can have sort of a nice conversation while this is on here. Let's see your half screen. Let's switch them out. Maybe no. Let's try to go something. There we go. We'll just keep that on there for now. As we answer questions, I'm gonna keep this on, keep theming. But yeah, guys, welcome. Welcome one and all to the post-Star Wars prequel live stream. So what is this? As we get started into the new year, 2026, today we're going to take it a little bit easy. We're just going to do about maybe an hour Q&A just with me. And I'm here to answer your burning questions, pun or no pun intended, on the storyline and the overall making of the prequel trilogy now that it's out, now that all the secrets are revealed for now, in what's happened, in the plot, and also what we did to make it. So fire those questions up. It's going to be a good time. So, of course, the rules are simple, guys. We're going to stick to the simple stream rules. In fact, hang on, let me just make sure this sounds okay. Just want to make sure everybody can hear, right? It's not too loud. Music's not too loud. I'll break it down a little bit. But, yeah. So, a couple of rules, as always, guys. For anybody who's considering super chats, we're not going to do a reaction super chat thing today, namely, unless it's Star Wars related. So, please remind that when you do super chat reactions, make sure they're Star Wars related videos. Make sure they're not copyright heavy, because we don't want to get in trouble. No personal or inappropriate questions. Just put that there. No personal or inappropriate questions. Be respectful, which we appreciate. Also, huge shout out to Honey Bear. She's at work right now, guys, but if you guys can check out her website, resiliencyme.com. She would really appreciate that on her end. Even though she's getting back into work and everything. Her sweaters have been doing well, so please keep purchasing those. And other than that, yeah, we're just going to have fun and enjoy the live stream and keep our language PG. So yeah, let's answer some questions. The burning questions about the prequels. How it is, it follows as a continuation of the original trilogy, where we go from here and so on. We'll answer a lot of the where we go from here later down the line, but we're just here to answer stuff about episodes 1, 2, and 3. And if you have any questions about the original trilogy. So with that said, let's start with this question from Osiris the God. So what would you say about your Revenge of the Sith review that you said in your past live streams that would have been controversial with viewers? Did it involve a real or certain Sith Lord? Okay, so time to break the mold, because a lot of people have been asking about this, and I think Gum has the same question. I love the prequel reviews. Thank you so much. Again, critics and reviews, if you guys have any opinions about it, please share it here. Love the prequel reviews. Not only was the twist shocking, but I was shocked you made George Darth Vader and Kennedy was Palpatine, also losing your arm. Yikes. Okay, so let's get the no arm in the room out of the way for these questions. So, what was the controversial thing that I warned people about via social media? So for those who don't know, I was, with all three, what's funny is with all three prequel episodes, Osiris, is that all three of them had some kind of controversy, surprisingly. Very light, but I think 3 probably had the most. I'll just run them down quickly. Episode 1's biggest controversy I didn't even expect to get was how I handled Jar Jar. And, you know, we're like, you know, I beat the shit out of him. And then in my review, I say he's perfectly fine. That's a conflict of time. Because when I wrote the prequel trilogy videos, this was late 2018, when it was still okay to kind of hate Jar Jar, when it was still okay. Now, I've always liked Jar Jar. It's been a very hit or miss relationship with me with him. But I overall do like him as a character. I do think he's relatively funny. I do think he's very comedic. He was a huge technical achievement for 1999. And I also don't like him because of how obscure, like, you know, I just did that as a, one of the things I tried to do with all 3 was to appease all sides of the fans in the spectrum of Star Wars. So the prequel haters, the prequel lovers, the ones who hate Disney, the ones who do like Disney. I was trying to pretty much play to the entire demographic. Unlike The Rise of Skywalker, where they pretty much made that on fear and tried to please everybody, and they couldn't please nobody, I was balancing it out. That is the true balance of the Force. But with Jar Jar, that was the biggest controversy. I actually got backlash from that, where people said, "Oh, you like Jar Jar, but you beat the hell out of him in the movie. What the hell?" Well, the reason is simply, it was just made at a time where you could hate him, and the skit was way too funny, and also we had worked hard on the effects for that, so it was hard to kind of cut out the effort put in. That's the main reason why. Now, and then I will say, in the original script for episode 1, there was a lot more bashing originally of Jake Lloyd, but since then, that's one of the things in my review I actually had to completely scrap and dial back and realize I had to stop making those type of jokes at Jake's expense, especially with what he's been through. So I did have to make a huge apology for that for my previous episodes. But episode 1, probably the least controversial. Episode 2, I actually evaded controversy. And more so to do with certain characters we had in the storyline that we had to make sure were okay to utilize. Namely with some of the Sailor Moon cast. So we did have to write some stuff in to say, okay, we're okay, we're going to be fine. But then we have the big one, which is the reveal that, I say twist number 1, we'll start with yours, Osiris, that Kathleen Kennedy is Palpatine. So, let me just be clear. That was a big middle finger to Kathleen Kennedy. That was my biggest middle finger I could do. I could present myself with. I think that is a healthy way to describe your frustrations with how she handled the brand. Now, there are I know about the news, guys, that she is retiring and that Dave Filoni is going to take over. And I think the response is simple. I like this change. I think this is a good change for Star Wars. But I think a lot of people are quoting Syndrome. Too late. 10 years too late. I think that is the biggest ordeal here. Now, here's the thing. I think Kathleen Kennedy has done some pretty damn good stuff as a producer, as a person who's worked with Spielberg and Lucas in the past. But people change. And when it comes to the current politics of the last 10 years, she drastically changed, and not for the better. And that's what I don't like. I like her as a person and what she's done for Hollywood. I just don't like the current version of her now. The best way I can describe her, not to get political, she is basically the Hollywood equivalent of Hillary Clinton. And given the fact that, like, if you see how she ran some of these franchises, that kind of shows what Hillary Clinton has done. And I'm not a big political person. I'm very apolitical. I really don't give a fuck. But I just saw it that way, and I just didn't like how... I just watched Link Carr's video on Rise of Skywalker, and he was 100% correct that they had no fucking plan. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And that's the biggest mistake. They went in blind. They went in on whatever was trendy, whatever was current. And that's what they tried to do with it, and it just didn't work. You have to have a plan. And, you know, George Lucas is what I call a filmmaking philosopher. He knew where things were going. So he based a lot of what he wrote on where he thought things were happening. He could technically see things before they happened. So, in a way, the prequels have elevated a little bit more because of that. Especially with right now. But with Kathleen Kennedy being Palpatine, that was always the plan. That was always the plan from the first pass. And one of the reasons I did it too was, you know, I was seeing the process as I was rewriting it here and there. I was seeing what she was doing with the brand, how I wasn't happy with it. And I was appeasing those fans, the grifters, a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the grifters, to be honest, but I did want to, again, please all Star Wars fans. And that was my way of, like, giving my progressive middle finger, and also, you know, for them to say, yeah, here's something to relieve your stresses, and so you can calm down, calm your nerves a little bit. And I do it through entertainment. I do it through visual comedy. I do it through that, and that is a much healthier way to do it than to scream at the camera saying this, and X, Y, Z, or whatever the fuck. It's a lot healthier than doing that. So, and I was concerned with episode 3 that, and I want to get your opinions on this, guys. Did I take it too far? Do you think I took her demise, her death, too far? Because I will say one of the biggest influences was Alien Romulus. That scene in Alien Romulus was my biggest influence in visuals. Also, a lot of John Carpenter's The Thing. Do you guys think I took it too far? Let me know. I was concerned that that was going to be the case, but thankfully that did not happen. So, so there you go. But also what's interesting is that, I mean, I'll get some more questions in a second. I'm just scrolling through. I just had to answer that long question. That was my biggest concern, that was going to be controversial. That's why I kind of wanted to warn people that when you watch this, go in with knowing I might have some things to say, and visually it might upset people, but I wanted to make sure y'all had a heads up so that you don't get caught off guard and like, whoa, what's he talking about? But thankfully, I think I managed to balance it out. But yeah, that's a great question. Let's continue here. Now, Gum's question about George being Darth Vader. That was also always the plan. Mainly, the idea of it is, it's something George Lucas said in an interview where people have always pointed out that, like, you know, what's the story? One of the stories of Star Wars is that Anakin becomes the thing he was sworn to destroy. He was supposed to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force, but he himself becomes a Sith Lord. He becomes the thing he was fighting against. The same thing kind of happened with George. George was an independent filmmaker. He always went against the Hollywood system and the corporations, but over time, he became a corporation. He became it. He became the thing he hated. And I think that shows in his work and his writing that he was symbolizing what he became and projecting Anakin as himself. And I wanted to follow that visually. Now, I know a lot of people have made like Photoshop jokes and stuff about that, but I wanted to take it a step further. And one of the things you'll notice in the prequels in terms of the storyline is how the Senate always refers to the creator. And that stems a little bit from Planet of the Apes, where they talk about, you know, the lawgiver or the creator. The creator in Senate words is basically God to Star Wars, and George Lucas is essentially God to the world because he created it. So of course he's going to be pretty much represented in this as the God of Star Wars. And the symbolism I kind of wrote is very kind of a little like a what if biblical piece of, what if God joined with the devil? What if God joined with Satan? What if he said, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm going to join with the devil? That was sort of the symbolisms, was God turned to the devil and the devil betrayed him. There was a little bit of allegory with that as well. And that's what I wrote with George Lucas here, is that essentially God surrendered himself to evil and did that. It's just something I thought I'd play around with. Now, this will carry on into the sequel trilogy when I inevitably get to that. But that is something I definitely wanted to do in discussion, in sort of symbolisms and themes and allegories. I'm trying to do a lot more allegories. So that is, I hope that answers your question, Gum, is that, yeah. Now, I will give huge credit to Alan, who played George Lucas. Now, the story behind that is that I had met him at Comic-Cons, and he was in the 501st cosplaying George Lucas, and he looked so much like him. Like, so canny, looked like George Lucas, that I said, I need to cast this guy as George. This is the guy. Because at the time, I didn't know how the fuck we were going to pull that off. But thankfully, he agreed. We shot his stuff in one day on green screen with the Darth Vader suit. That's all we needed. And it came out fantastic. Now, in some shots, you notice we used, you know, a live action. We were filming in our location for the volcano. We had our stunt double, Matthew Pickles, who's been on our show for a while. When we did the unmasking stuff, we shot it from the back, and he had like a grandma wig to double for George Lucas. So that's how we got away with those shots. So just a little filmmaking tip there. But let's answer more questions. So thank you, Gum. That was a really good one. Please tell. Yeah, and also that's a big one. A lot of people were shocked Naboo blew up. Now, I had already set in motion, I had planned this when I wrote the script for the review, to kind of say, hey, this is what's going to happen in symbolism, because when I brought up that there were rumors and speculations about when Revenge of the Sith was coming out in 2005, what the plot was going to be in those old forums, that's where the idea came from, and I've had those concepts since the prequels came out to do something like that. That's what I always imagined Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting on, is an exploding Naboo, but it was going to go the way of Nanak. And that was one of the influences, too, with that final battle with me and Vader was, it was the Mustafar duel meets Dragon Ball Z. So it was like the planet, now, 5 minutes, the planet Namek will explode! And it takes like 20 episodes, but we were going for a lot of that in terms of what was happening with that trilogy. And also, rest in peace, Slippy, yeah. Now, that's the thing, I loved you. Huge kudos to the people who were in the Star Fox cosplays. I think it's EGCT cosplay on Instagram. Fantastic work. Go check out his Instagram, guys, and follow him. He's amazing. You can see him in my followers as well. I don't know if I can speak for anyone, Osiris says, who have been watching the Star Wars reviews since 2018 and had a sneaking suspicion about Darth Vader being someone other than Anakin. Well, I had set it up in the ending of Jedi where, when I fought him, I said, I know Vader's tactics. That's not his moves. Somebody else has taken the mantle. That was always the setup, was to continue that story and be one of the driving forces is, who is Darth Vader? Who is he really? Now I do wish we explored it a little bit more in storyline plot-wise, but we were cut for time a little bit. But maybe someday I'll explore more of that. Like, I've thought about, like, when I do the storyline compilation before I release it, I actually want to do something, which I can say right now, is creating essentially an extended cut with the storylines that allow me to expand the plot and do it through that. I'm thinking about doing new scenes that kind of expand that at some point. But let's just say I've only had my suspicions that I'd rather go quickly after Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. Speaking of, if you watch the prequels or even the finale, I would suggest checking that out. Finale what? Clone Wars? All right, let's see here. Let's go through because we have like a ton of people. Okay, here's a good question from Toon King. Why did you feature Sailor Jupiter in your prequel trilogy? Well, okay, so the way that came about was, that was always the plan. My main idea was, I think one day when I was really writing the script, when I was coming up with ideas, I thought, what if Sailor Jupiter battled Palpatine in a lightning battle, in a lightning, like a wizard's duel? That was always the original root of the concept. And I'd done concept art and everything. And I was like, okay, we've narrowed it down. She's going to be our Padme, our princess to save. And, mirroring what the prequels did. Jupiter seemed like an option because I've always been a fan of that character since I was a kid. And I just felt like in terms of being the one character, like we needed, obviously, like we didn't want the whole thing to be a sausage fest. We wanted to get some variety. We've been doing that a lot lately, and Jupiter seemed like the right fit. It's also to expand, a trend on my show. If you watch my show, what I do, to do that as well. And thankfully, we had LITTAISJUNO is one of the best actresses I've had the pleasure of working with in my career. She is incredible. She's going places. She's gotten gigs on a couple of film projects. She does amazing fashion design and costuming. I would love to hire her on as a costume designer for a major project. I couldn't have asked for a better Jupiter. In fact, actually what's so crazy is about a month before Revenge of the Sith came out, I think we brought this up in the Q&A, Susan Roman, the voice of Jupiter, had finally met her. And I had already been friends with Susan for a while, for about a decade now. And when we were shooting, I sent her photos from the first day of shooting we shot with Lita. She was stunned by Lita's cosplay and her outfits and the way we did photographs. And she pretty much told me, Susan told me, basically, you have my blessings, which was the greatest compliment I could get. That's when I knew we had to go ahead to just say, we can make this work. So Lita, kudos to her for doing such an amazing job. Link down below to her social media, guys. Please follow her. Couldn't ask for a better Sailor Jupiter. So there we go. Ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Shanachu? No. Chris Chan will not be in this. But yeah, I was seeing a lot of people. Again, I'm just catching up on the stream here, guys. Hang on a sec. I find it funny how actress for Sailor Jupiter was rather apprehensive about Jack as a director in the lecture. I mean, directing is something that is very intense, so it can be a little bit here and there. Were any of my ideas used for this, like Kennedy being controlled by Palpatine? So I'll expand on this, Huey, for you. Yes, in a way, Kathleen Kennedy was possessed by Palpatine, not controlled, possessed. If you noticed it, and this was something we kind of added at the 11th hour to have it make more sense why Palpatine came back. Somehow Palpatine returned. We are following on Rise of Skywalker, where, because the thing is, I felt his death in Rise of Skywalker was very lame, because, like, you mean to tell me that he could be destroyed this way, but he wasn't destroyed how he was before? Who's to say that when he's zapped by Rey's reflective lightsaber shit, that he doesn't just transfer his soul into another body? Who's to say? So, but then with Exegol being destroyed, it's very unlikely. So my idea is that after the Battle of Exegol, his soul was floating in space. His Sith spirit, as I call it, was floating in space. Was picked up by Gablor, who offered him to say, I will give you a new body. I will give you more power than you can imagine, and I will help you destroy your universe for your own means. So basically what happened was, the way I planned it is that Palpatine's first body of choice would be on Earth in 2012, where he would possess, not Kathleen Kennedy, the Executor, from To Boldly Flee. Now, if you guys know what To Boldly Flee is, that is the 4th Channel Awesome Special, which is a big sci-fi parody, and they had a Emperor Palpatine, what Linkara calls an Emperor Palpatine knockoff, but now we can actually confirm it was Palpatine. Palpatine was the Executor. The First Order of Business was obviously trying to get the SOPA thing going, then converting the Darth Snob, so that was all legitimately Palpatine. But once he was destroyed on the Death Bomb, he basically, again, floated in space, looked at Gablor and said, now what? And then he's like, don't worry. Your creator is selling your universe to the highest bidder. I want you to possess the highest bidder. That's when he took possession of Kathleen Kennedy, was in 2012. Hence, the spiraling decline of Star Wars. You can kind of see what's going on here, but I will reveal more in time. So that was the idea, is that by the time Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, Palpatine had already possessed Kathleen Kennedy's body and was already making plans. And how appropriate that she retires now so that storyline can be wrapped up. But there you go, little reveal there. Darth Spinosaurus. I saw your reaction to Jack to the King Kong evolution video where they showed the Mighty Kong. I loved your reaction. Yeah, that was cool. Again, this is a Star Wars theme question here. A lot of people in the chat. Hi, LIGHTPOST again. I'm so sorry for being so far behind, guys. This is an off-topic question. But did you know that Ewan McGregor is going to be in the new upcoming dinosaur movie? Ooh, okay, I'm gonna have to mark that down. Let's see here. It's coming, Anina Bailey, it's coming. Let's see here, I'm just going down here. I've been very curious about that. Okay, they're talking about the dinosaur thing. I have a few questions for you since the original trilogy storyline. Okay. Called Return of the New Empire. What will the prequel trilogy timeline be called? I have a title. I can actually announce the title of what this prequel trilogy is called. Attack of the Phantom Sith. That is the title of this prequel retrospective. The first trilogy was called Return of a New Empire. This is called Attack of the Phantom Sith. There you go. I can announce that right now. That is episodes 1, 2, and 3. Boom shaka, I guess. I don't know. I must ask, who is Douchey McNitpick, since he apparently is connected to Loudy McNitpick? So, I think that's a Dean question. I think for us, we just love Douchey McNitpick, and we wanted to imitate that and just be a reflection of prequel haters or Star Wars haters and just reflect and mock that and make fun of that. I wish I expanded it more, but I went with what I did. What is it? Typey McTurd will come back. A lot of people love that character, so that was cool. But Loudy McNitpick is really funny. Dean is great in that performance. Let's see the opinions here about Kathleen Kennedy. I'm very curious here because I'm just catching up with it now. Nah, she deserved it. From what I heard, oh, okay, that's dinosaurs. Same. I don't think you took it too far. I feel like you need to speak then hide. Yeah, like literally to quote the Joker, it's like when people are saying, "Oh, you think that's funny?" I do, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. Who plays George in my review? That is Alan. Alan, his last name's escaping me, but Alan was, we met him at the 501st Legion cosplaying George Lucas. Let's see here. Was it your plan to get your character to lose your arm? Great question, Jeffrey. So here's what's funny about that. That was not the original script. What happened was I had a creative brainstorm meeting with Alana Roses, who plays 18 on my show. And she also appeared in episode 2, surprisingly, and was actually one of the senators. She did really good. So we had a discussion at one point, brainstorming. And she was telling me about right before we really started production on season 8. It was right after Ready Player One. It was during, like, the rap parties. She said, sorry to say this, your character has not had a loss. And I'm like, what do you mean? Your character has no weight. Your character has no stakes. He's becoming very Mary Sue. And I had to think about that, and I actually had to stop and say, yeah, you know what, you're right. Something needs to happen. That's when season 8 started to realize we need to go very dark. We had a very big victory, but we need to go super duper dark. And we have to have my character have a lot of losses. If you notice this season, he has had a few losses. He didn't find the King's Gauntlet. He almost lost his faith in Jurassic Park. And then his hero mentor / person who got him into doing what he does ends up being a villain, and he loses a limb. Now, originally, Alana was saying to me, you should have your character lose a body part, like, or something. And I was like, well, okay, what do you suggest? She wanted me to lose a leg. And I said, yeah, good luck doing the effects on that where I look like Bon John Silver in Treasure Island. And then she's like, well, what about one of your eyes? And I would be cool, but then I didn't want to look like Tachi the Pirate or Nick Fury the whole time. Although if I did a pirate series, that'd be kind of ironic. And then we decided, well, what happens in Star Wars? They always lose the right arm. So let's follow that trope. Let's follow that tradition. And I will say this. That is permanent. This arm for the whole show for my character is gone. It is not coming back. Whenever it does, it's an artificial limb that he only uses for combat. It will not be part of the review shtick going forward. Now, I should say the first few episodes of this year are going to be prequel stories, meaning they take place before. So if you see the arm and like, he still has his arm. We haven't got to that point yet. But yeah, this arm is officially gone. So, good question. Let's see here. Slippy was the Star Fox character. Was Naboo evacuated before Gaba? I'm pretty sure some of it did, but a lot of losses on that planet. Billions of lives lost. Let's see here. Let's see here. My God, same questions over and over again. I mean, it was an idea that we used, and we're going to expand on it in future projects. Who agrees an official Star Wars Sailor Moon crossover is up? Yeah, like, it was cool. Sailor Wars. That was kind of what we were going for. What ideas would you have for your sequel trilogy reviews? So, I'm already coming up with some ideas. I don't have a full-on outline, but I have some ideas of where I know where I want it to go. I just can't say what it is. So, there you go. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Palpatine can't be defeated. I go with theory it was cloned. So what it is essentially dark Sith magic. It's his soul. It's not a clone, it's his spirit, his soul. It's much like Sauron with the ring. Where, yeah, the ring is, like, Sauron was destroyed, but his spirit and soul endures in the ring. And that's what allows him to stay alive. So, there you go. Your review of Star Wars Episode 3 was originally going to be post-credit scene for your future reviews. No. The plan was always to wrap it up that way. To wrap it and give it a closure there. Oh, awesome! HIPSTERWHOVIANJEDI is working on his review. Okay, guys, go subscribe. Check him out. But yeah, the ending was always as it was. That was always the plan. Yeah, a lot of people like the title. Wow. Okay, again, we're going a little bit far in, aren't we? A lot of people, okay, let me just scroll down to the bottom here. Your story about the character's loss reminds me of Rocky Balboa, where he loses Adrian to cancer. Yeah? Really? I guess you could see that. I mean, there's gonna be, when we get back to my character, he's gonna be going through some grieving. He's still grieving through process. So there's gonna be a lot of that shown in the future. So that is something we're gonna be seeing a lot more with my character. We're essentially gonna be getting a Hope Rises 2, I guess is a way to put it. that is something we're going to explore as well in other forms of media. We have an ASMR plan that we're going to be writing in that's going to focus on that a little bit. So you'll look forward to that. Were there any Dragon Ball inspirations in terms of the lightsaber fight? Yes, Noah. The answer is yes. It was Anakin and Obi-Wan meets the Namek explosion in Dragon Ball Z. That was always the plan. Because when I remember when the theory started about Episode 3, how it was going to be Naboo as the volcanic planet that would allow Darth Vader to be burnt alive, I went with that. Right even before the trailers, I was thinking that's what they're going to do, and that's going to be awesome. Also, yay, Honey Bear's here with our first super chat. Thank you so much, Bear. Really appreciate it, guys. Go check out her channel. Go check out her Instagram. Check out resiliencyandme.com. Always appreciate it if you guys can go check that out. In fact, I'm going to open the website now as a little sponsorship. Resiliency and me. I'm also going to go to the You Are Enough. Let's see if they still are around. Well, okay, I don't see the website, but I am going to go to resiliencyandme.com. And we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to link that in the chat for you guys to go support her work. Let's go here. There we go. resiliencyandme.com. Wait, did I go through? Oh, shit, hang on. There we go. So there we go. Yeah, guys, go check out resiliencyme.com. Our website helps kids in local income housings get therapy, which is needed right now. Really would appreciate it. Answer to your question, by the way, Osiris, I have been showing her a lot of that content. She really does like a lot of the Channel Awesome stuff, which is cool. She's really into it. She's really invested. Really into Linkara stuff, which is awesome. She also likes Xandru stuff. Xandru, if you're watching, we love you, man. Let's see. Let's answer a few more questions here. Let's see here. There we go. There we go. Oh, there we go. Let's leave that comment there for a second. But we got you, Bear. Guys, resiliencyme.com. Really is appreciated. So let's see here. I'm just gonna go ahead and just go. Were there any Dragon Ball? Okay, we already answered that. Trying to think some, okay, I will answer one question that's really cool. In fact, you know what I should do, guys? I should show you guys footage, BTS footage, of some of the making of this particular project. So let me just go to my archives, and I'll show you guys some stuff that we did. So you can get an idea of like what was involved behind the scenes in the making of this particular series. Let's see here. BTS. Let's go to. Let me find some, like some footage or some photos I can share. That would be really cool here. Let's see here. What's the duel? Oh yeah, here. So I'll show you the guy we got to play George Lucas, who was like really fucking cool. Let's see here. Share screen. Go to here. Go here. Share. But yeah, this is our actor. This is Alan, who played George Lucas. He looks exactly like him. That was scary about working with him. I actually felt George Lucas was in my apartment, which is funny. So that was awesome. So there we go. Somebody should do a YouTube poop with a Revenge of the Sith review. Please, can somebody do that? Can somebody please do a YouTube poop? That'd be hilarious. Like, somebody please make that. That'd be amazing. I would love that. That'd be awesome. So yeah, just that was, so yeah, we had Alan on board. He's a really nice guy to work with. Really good, like first takes, really wonderful actor to work with. I had a really good time working with them. Naboo being blown up in a nutshell, I'm a fire my laser. Please somebody listen, by all means guys, review my content, talk about my content, do watch parties. I am all for it. It's free promotion for me, and it allows more people to talk about my content. So I really do appreciate YouTube poops. Whenever you guys want, go ahead. But let me see if I can find some more photos here. Let me find some more stuff. More BTS I can show. Because the thing is with photos, what's crazy is there's not much photos that we really shared, did we? So yeah, that's, a lot of this is in. So the location we shot this at was, I can actually reveal that part. That location was in a rock quarry and construction area literally down the road from me. I was just exploring the area because I just moved in here as we were like kind of like 10% into production. And I went by the bus, I saw this big rocky area full of all these rock formations. And I remember clearly, let me see if I can pull this up. Let me close that. Let me go and share this. Let me see if I can do that. Hang on, I'll show you guys some photos. I remember clearly visiting this and finding this location. Let me see if I can play video. There we go, here we go. So this is it. Okay, that was after we finished shooting. But let me show you here. So we had this location that was very rocky that had these perfect volcanic landscapes. And I thought this is the perfect place to shoot. And what we did was we did a little guerrilla filmmaking. Much like Indiana Jones, we filmed the ending portion of that in an abandoned theme park ride in Ontario Place that we're technically not supposed to go to, but we snuck in anyway and shot it. So over the course of maybe a year or two, we shot in this location and filmed all of the fight in this rocky quarry area. And we filmed, the trick is film it on Sundays because they don't do construction on Sundays. The place isn't closed. Unless there's, okay, my only rule I do suggest for young filmmakers, if there are signs that say do not enter, no trespassing, stay cautious. Don't do that. But thankfully what's crazy is we didn't have signs that said no trespassing. They said they had none. They had it on fenced areas, but not in that area. So you know what? We took the risk, and we filmed it at the perfect time, because what's crazy is that we had shot this at this, again, look at these landscapes. These are gorgeous places to film on, right? These are the perfect areas for a volcanic planet. The thing is, what we had to do was we not only had to film here, we had to film on blue sky days, because I call it God's blue screen. We wait till it's a blue sky day so we could crop in the volcanoes. And that's how we got a lot of those shots done. But yeah, this was like when I was doing location scans. You can see it looks great. Like, these locations look spectacular. But there you go. That's how we did it. Let's see here. There will be a blooper reel at some point. In fact, I will say this, Osiris. Look forward to this. Part 1 of Ready Player One, the blooper reels, will be out this Friday, so look forward to that. But there's a lot of that. Let's see here. So there was a lot of that put in, and now what's interesting is that now this is actually the highway, the bridge that you can see the construction area. What's crazy is about this, those shots of me holding on to the Falcon were done here because it looks like the Falcon. If you like kind of zoom in like this, if you do it like crop it like this, it kind of looks like the Falcon, doesn't it? So we just used that. It actually worked out to our favor. I'm not gonna lie, but something simple as a Sailor Scout wielding a lightsaber was really cool. That was actually an improvised idea on set. When we were filming, we had a little extra time, and me and Lita were like, what if we had Jupiter wield a lightsaber? Actually, it was her idea. And I was like, yeah. But then we thought, what if she combined it with her powers and created sort of like a wind scar effect? And what happened? We ended up doing that, and we called it the Storm Saber. Where's my TVX Saber of that? Where's my Theory Saber on a Storm Saber? Let's fucking go. Let's make Sailor Moon themed lightsabers. I know they have the wand, but not for the individual scouts. So there you go. Again, okay. So I want to point out this. So this is interesting. This is something that we actually had to cut. I'll show this off. I went on location to this bridge here in somewhere out there. Originally, in the concept art, we had it where my character goes into a volcano, which was a working facility, and it was going to be something out of like the Crack of Doom from Lord of the Rings. That is originally where the finale was going to take place, on a bridge, inside a volcano. So I went location scouting, and I found this area, and we were going to use this bridge, this rickety bridge. However, getting to this location was a pain in the ass. So we just cheapened out and used a basic location downtown. We kind of just cheapened out. We didn't end up not using this location. So we used the volcano stuff instead. I was doing tests even to kind of check out the area of what I wanted to see for scale. And I knew compositing it would have been a pain in the ass. So there was like no way in hell this was going to work in my original ambitions. So we waited for days like this. Like, again, if it was blue sky, God's blue screen, these beautiful sunsets here were gorgeous to get shots on, too, for some of the establishing backgrounds. So, again, these are me just testing the waters of cliffs of where we could shoot and stuff. But it ultimately came out pretty good. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that sunset right there. Look at how gorgeous that is. That's right out of the Lion King right there. But we really did a lot of research. I was testing where I could aim the camera for that final scene. Ultimately, it came out pretty good. So I was doing all these tests there. But you can see where, like, I was planning shots. You can see airplanes, like, planes were going by like crazy when we were filming there. It was a very remote location, but ultimately ended up good for the final film. I'm very overall happy with what we did. So let me just see if I can find more BTS footage. Give me one moment. Okay, nothing there, nothing there, nothing. Okay, there's Matt. There we go. Let me find some more stuff. Because this is fun just showcasing, like, behind the scenes material here. No? Oh my god. There. Let's see. Let's get. How do we. But yeah, so, again, guys, any other questions about behind the scenes, let me know. Let's see. Share screen. We're going to go to here. Share that. Yeah, so this is Matt in the stunt Darth Vader suit. We had multiple Vader suits on this shoot. This was Matt in the main Vader suit that we had for the project. Now, we did have another actor for it. Let me just actually skim through here. I have to go through a few things. But I'll go to the beginning. One moment. There's a lot of photos. Sorry about this. Let me go back to the beginning here. Okay, so this was Matt on the location, and actually, you see, he looks great. He looks really good in the suit. Like these are like promotional images. These kind of came out pretty nicely. But our original actor that we had was here with this blooper. This is Canadian Vader. Probably the best Darth Vader suit actor maker I've ever seen. He actually does work for the 501st now, and his stuff is like Lucasfilm accurate, which is like crazy to me. His suit honestly came out phenomenal. We were just goofing off on set, which is funny, but yeah, his suit came out wonderful. Like, I've never seen a better Darth Vader suit than with him when we were filming. And as you can see, like, that was actually Matt afterwards. We had two suits. We had the main suit, the hero suit, but because we didn't want to damage it, we used the stunt suit. And this was us on set. As you can see, this is like, look at that. That's a beautiful behind-the-scenes shot. And that was, I think, on the last day of filming fight choreography. And then that's Matt afterwards. We were exhausted. We were tired, but we got it done. And as you can see, we're on the bus heading home. He was tired. But there you go. Now, literally, after we finished shooting, it's crazy. The whole land that we shot in flooded. It completely flooded. So we got lucky. If we missed a day shooting in this particular spot, we would have been cooked. But thankfully, we made it work. That all worked out in our favor, which is surprising. So there you go. That's a little BTS there of, like, you know, of us shooting. I'm trying to find some more material to show off here, because there was a lot of behind the scenes roll that we did. See if I can find some stuff for. Oh, you know what? I know something I can show off here. I can show off some of these tests. Okay, not that one. Okay, these were yeah. So one person I could actually bring up here is my buddy Steve, who played the Imperial captain for the fleet for the Imperials. Met him at Comic-Con literally last year, and we filmed one of his scenes at Comic-Con, and we filmed the rest of it on green screen. Credit has to be given to him. His suit, his Imperial costume, fantastic. Could not ask for a better person to do that. That came out wonderful. Like, I was honestly very impressed with this, how his suit came out. So we shot his stuff for a day. We had, let's see here. Okay, so here's the big reveal. I was Kathleen Kennedy. I was the body stand-in. I can reveal that now. basically what happened is that we were going to try to get somebody to play Kathleen Kennedy. We were trying to find somebody to cast. We couldn't find someone on time for production. So I chose to step in. And I just played it by ear. Now, how did we pull this off? We used deepfake technology. We used third-party deepfake technology to bring Kathleen Kennedy to life, and it is my voice projecting it. But I'm using an AI filter to help me get through it, to help me do that stuff. So that is the reveal. I am Kathleen Kennedy. And it's funny, in the group chat I'm in, the nicknames were always Uncanny Kathleen Kennedy, Kathleen Uncanny Kennedy, or Jacqueline Kennedy was the name of the game for my character for Prequel. So there you go. That was how it was. And what I was doing was very much basing it on a Starbucks drinking gossip girl hipster. That was my idea for the character. So this was just behind the scenes when we were shooting it. Yeah, we were doing essentially the Alfred Hitchcock technique. That's how it went. That was at a Star Wars party me and Bear went to, where I was practicing my skills. So you can see I'm pretty good with the saber. I'm pretty good with that. Okay, this is what's cool. This is the stuff you want to see. Okay, so these shots were done in South Carolina. We had used, for the majority of shooting, we had used models, miniatures, toys, and we blew them up. Now, I was originally going to use firecrackers here at home. However, what we did was essentially, we basically, Dad called me. My dad lives in South Carolina, and he suggested, why don't we just go ahead and do with real firecrackers, some powerful ones. Now, granted, the Carolinas are the capital fireworks of the United States. Now, when I went during Christmas last year, and I brought the models, I flew them down to my dad's place. We spent 2 days blowing these things up with real firecrackers and tons of camera work. And what's crazy is that basically, when I was filming these, I got the neurovirus. I had it bad. It ruined my Christmas. And I'd say this, I would have rather had COVID. It was really bad, guys. I'm not kidding. But I pushed through. Thankfully, my Aunt Lucy was there getting me healed up, and she came in and she actually assisted in helping, and she loved this. She was so intrigued by this. She's like, yo, you're doing this? And she was awesome. So kudos to my Aunt Lucy for that. But we got these shots. We just literally put firecrackers on these, and we blew these the Action Fleet models half to hell, and they came out fantastic. I was thoroughly impressed. So there you go. That's what's crazy. Now, this is the location where we shot a couple of things. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's me, Jacqueline Kennedy. I did this joke. There will be a behind-the-scenes documentary at some point, but overall it came out pretty damn good. But yeah, let's answer a few more questions as we go in. I'll answer this one for those in the chat when I bring up the whole AI voice filter thing. Okay, so it was mainly, like I said in my Christmas card, I am only using a small percentage. I'm using it as a tool, a way to enhance some of my visual effects, a way to filter things out that I don't really have time to go get for, and because it's a little cheaper. Am I moving completely to AI? Hell no. I don't like it. I don't like people who use it fully. As a special effects tool, the smallest percentage, which is what I did, I think I balanced it out, because a lot of it was namely using it to tweak shots to make them look nice, to make the quality enhanced. And on top of that, to just use technology that we just really were kind of at a desperate run, and we were kind of on our 11th hour. We didn't know how to do it. Sometimes that happens, and I used it to a very small percentage when I did that project. And the thing is, with what's crazy is I brought this up in my Christmas episode. I had some people offer me full-on AI generated images. And you know what? I said no. I rejected the shots. They were great shots for what they were, but I rejected them because I make my stand there. I think the problem with it is that it's not being regulated enough. It's not being monitored enough. It's not being used properly. It's being used very inappropriately. And those who are, like, I'm not a fan of people who do the you're either with us or against us black and white thinking. I try to find a negotiative middle ground. And I think I found a negotiative middle ground in where I use it. And I'm only going to use it sparingly. I still use practical effects. I still use the tools I have. This is just an additional tool to tweak certain things. And it was in a situation that we could have gotten an actress, but I couldn't find anybody. And I was desperate to get that done. So for those wondering who are like, boo, AI, listen, I understand. I get it. I don't like it either. But like, it's here and we have to adapt to it. And I'm adapting to it in a way that I feel is comfortable, appropriate, and not full. I don't want to fully use it. You are going to get genuine in real person stuff with me. I'm not going to be like going into that evolution like all the way. Fuck that, not doing it. I just wanted to bring that up because I know some people are like, oh, you used AI and stuff, but it's like at the same time, it's like, did not have time. Did not have time and also did not have the money to pay people for that, to get it done faster. So I had to utilize that. So again, like I said in my Christmas card, bare minimum, small amount, and really only using it to enhance, to fix. Because think about it, what's crazy is that's also, I will point out, why episode 3 was delayed by a few months. Because we were still working on the visual effects. We were still working on the sound designs and everything. And it was delayed because of that. And we also had personal life shit that happened. And what's interesting is that I was looking at the original shots. In fact, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I can reveal this now. I can show you some of these visual effects shots so you can get an idea of why I had to take this extra step. I'm going to go to the space battle file, and I'm going to show you some shots that we did. And you can get an idea of why I chose this method. So let's see. Let's go to, like, no filtered shots, for example. Let's take some shots here, and let's find one that doesn't have a filter, okay? Let's see here. Let me find a good one. Like a really good one. One moment. There's a lot of shots to go through. And I really appreciate everybody understanding that. Like, again, I don't like being I've been saying, it. We've been seeing an uptick lately of people with the mindset of you are with us or against us. Gotta calm that down a little bit. I understand things are tight right now. Things are tense. But we also have to have critical thinking. We have to have proper thinking and not jump the gun to everything. Like, I've already seen it with a certain return to a certain controversy from, like, almost a decade ago that's kind of been obsolete. And I'm not a fan of people continuing to try to make it happen. It's not happening. Feel lost. I'm sorry. But we gotta calm down, guys. We gotta calm the fuck down. That's the main goal to get through shit. But let me find a shot that doesn't have a filter attached to it. Give me one moment. Okay, let's take prime. Okay, you know what? Let's go to the fight scene as a prime example, and you'll see how it enhances the shots. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, again, you can't rush art, and so I wanted to make this go out with a bang. I wanted this to look as good as it possibly could, and I honestly hope I succeeded in that. I hope I made it worthwhile, because I even looked back on the last 2 that I did, and to be honest, like, some of them don't look that, like, some of the shots in episodes 1 through 2 don't look good. In fact, when I do the extended story cut, I might go back and enhance those shots to make them look a little better, because there's some shots I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest. Oh, hey, Jackson Knight's here. Welcome to the chat. Good to see you, man. Also, huge credit to Jackson Knight for voicing Palpatine. You did an incredible job voicing Chief Palpatine. We applaud you. We will have you on for the sequel trilogy. You have my word on that, man. You were fantastic. I couldn't have asked for better. So I'm just trying to get the, hang on, let me just try to get these renders going, because again, it's taking a while. I haven't opened these files in a while. That's what I mostly am doing for my next videos. As an artist, I take the time to make sure they're good. Yeah, it was also quality over quantity, to be honest. That was something I really wanted to do. Okay, so these are all filters. Where's the not? Okay, where's this one? There we go. Okay. Non-filter. Let me find a good shot here I can show off. Fuck. It's not here. Where the fuck can I find this shit? Hang on. I know, it's taking me a while to find the stuff. Good to have you on here. Hope to see you appear in. Yeah, we gotta get you on one of my streams, man. We gotta get you on Nick Jackson on one of these at some point. Okay, here we go. Okay, you know what? I got a perfect example. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show you a prime example of what happens when you put it through filters and like through. I use CapCut a lot now, which is a really nice tool to use. Let me go to. Let's see. Let's see. Entire screen. There we go. All right, let's just do this as a prime example. Hang on. Fuck. Just trying to figure this out. One moment. Share screen. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to Fight 2. I'm gonna open it up. One moment. Okay. So here is a shot, as a prime example. Here's a shot that's not filtered. And in some degrees, you can see some of the matte lines and stuff, right? Check this out. So here's the shot, no filter. It's got the simple stuff. It looks okay. But now, let's look at it without, now let's look at it with the filter. Let's look at it, now let's look at it with the filter added in. Let me go here. No, I gotta find a way to like do it where I can like switch out. Let me see here. Open with here we go. Okay, this makes it easier. Okay. Now this makes it easier. Okay. I gotcha. Hold on. Share screen. Window. Wait, 2. Share. Okay. So here it is with no filter. Right? It looks okay. It looks alright. But now let's put it with a filter. Look how much more enhanced it looks. This is where the technology could be properly used. This is where it could be done. It's not through, you know, creating full-on AI-generated stuff, you know. There's not through this and that. But what it is through, you know, just making the shots look better. And it doesn't destroy the image or anything. It actually makes it better. CapCut has been a saving grace for editing. It is really good, and huge shout out to SPECTRO for that. But as you can see, like, again, no enhancement with enhancement. It actually just adds more, and that's what I've been using the AI tools for. I haven't been using it to create imagery or to like do any of that, to do it for me. I think that's lazy. I think that's lousy. I think it takes away some jobs that are very important. So that is my stand with AI. For those who were, you know, concerned and saying, oh, I shouldn't use AI, you're with us or against, I'm going to cut that right now and say, listen, I think it is a tool that should be used, but it's being used very inappropriately. That is where you can see, right there is an example of where it's appropriate. And I think in that sense, it did help in enhancing the project. So for those who are concerned, don't worry. It's not going to be everywhere. I'm going to be using it to the bare minimum, smallest amount. I'm not going to be like, you know, like, oh God, this and that. Like, I'm pretty good with where it's at. So there we go. But yeah, so let's answer a few more questions before we go. That was a lot to discuss, but let me answer some questions. I'll answer 3 more final questions about Star Wars, and then we'll call it a night, because I do have to get back to work. I actually just finished opening night today on a very heavily requested episode. In fact, I should say, guys, you're going to be getting a couple of midnight opening nights this month that are like almost twice a week, because February we have the Inuyasha vlogs coming back, so that's going to take up our time. But yeah, just answer. We'll answer a few more. There's Star Wars Enhanced. You need to be Enhancing too. Yeah, Nick and I, we gotta be working on our video at some point. We gotta get that stream. That's Saturday, right? I think I should be on his stream on Saturday. I can't remember. I know I have something happening Friday night, maybe. And then I have Nick and I are doing a stream Saturday, and then I'm actually gonna be going to a toy fair on Sunday. So that's gonna be happening there. So let's answer. Any more questions, guys, or is that it? Is that all we got? I'm very curious if anybody has. I mean, story-wise, or even with like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. If you guys have any questions, fire away. We will have a blooper reel. We will have a documentary at some point on the making of it. We're just, at the moment, trying to catch up on a few things. All right, Saturday the 10th. Okay, this question is from Sammy, and it's been a following question. I've answered it a few times. Will I do the sequel trilogy? The answer is yes. So, what's interesting about doing the sequel trilogy is that you look at my videos, they are sort of a trilogy within a trilogy, if you think of it that way. They are that. They are a trilogy within a trilogy. And essentially, what's crazy about that is, I'm actually going to close this right here. It's a trilogy within a trilogy. And if the original trilogy was A New Hope, the prequels were Empire, the sequel trilogy is going to be Return of the Jedi. And we're going to wrap up Star Wars by that point. But I will say this. It's going to take maximum about 5 years before we do anything with it. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be pre-prepping as much as I can. I'm going to be taking my sweet-ass time. But in terms of any major progress pushing, that won't be for another 3 to 5 years. And that's because I want to focus on some other projects. I want to focus on other things in my life. Namely my personal life. Namely some other big projects that I am long overdue to get going. And also I want to give myself a 1.5 years off to do some smaller stuff. To do more quantity over quality. Get some more content out for you guys. Make up for the fact that 2025, despite having great quality content with those Star Wars things, they took a lot of time away from pumping out content. So I want to make up for it this year. So you're going to see a 1.5 years off of simple content, but then we're going to go back to big content around a 1.5 years from now. And there is something I'm going to be tackling that I'm really excited for. I won't say what, but we have some ideas. There will be, the storyline will continue in terms of like the reviewer stuff, but it's going to be a lot smaller than before. So there you go. I hope that answers your question, Sammy. Let's see here. What does Lita react to when he loses her? I mean, obviously, fright and concern would be the thing. I would love to do more expanded material with LITTAISJUNO. She's up for it. I know she's working a lot now with her fashion stuff, but I would love to do more content, like in plot-wise, and starting to expand the story and everything like that. It would be really cool. In fact, I will say, we have a project coming up that we have her on that's going to be out in February. Can't wait for you guys to see that. Favorite Star Wars monster? That's an interesting question. I'm going to say the Rancor, or the creatures from Attack of the Clones, that like crab thing. I think it's cool. What were skits you've always had planned? I can't answer right now, but you'll see some of them coming up in future episodes. Yeah, I'll put the plug in. So guys, Saturday, Nick and I, we're going to be tackling some Star Wars video live stream on Saturday night. You guys can go check it out on his channel, so go like and subscribe and look forward to that. He would really appreciate that. Nick's been a huge helping hand in a lot of our projects, and he's been doing his own thing, but we always appreciate whenever he comes in. We love you to death, Nick. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's get some few more questions in. When you get to the sequel, how long do you think it'll editing to take? Oh, okay, so this is the thing. When doing the sequel trilogy, we're going to have a totally new game plan by that point and how we produce content. The reason why the prequels took so long is we were working with an old school systematic way of pumping out videos. And it's just so obsolete because it's pre-COVID. It's very obsolete. We're going to be looking into better ways to push forward more than just having you guys wait for so long because our computers and stuff and all that stuff and the sophistication from it. Well, doesn't it already have so many spin-offs with all that stuff happening? That's interesting too, Kate. That's a possibility too, Jack. Mainly because actually it would be appropriate to be like 2030. I don't want to confirm any release date, But 2030 would be a good goal set because that would be the 15th anniversary of The Force Awakens. Probably a good time to do it then. We'll see. Let's see here. My favorite. Well, a lot of people love the dinosaur, the Xylo Beast. Yeah, those are cool too. Underrated Star Wars planet. I'm gonna say Kashyyyk. I'm gonna say Utapau, and I'm gonna say Felucia. We need more on those. I'm also more on Yavin. I mean, we've done a lot of Yavin, but like I want to see more on Felucia. I want to see more on Ilum. I want to see more of the Ilum lore and how it became Starkiller Base. What's the best special edition change compared to the original trilogies? I will say Palpatine and Empire was a good change. What was the one Star Wars monster that Obi-Wan wrote in that? Okay, that's called a Bunga. I think it's called a Bunga, I believe. All right, I'm going to answer one more behind-the-scenes question or review-based question, then we're going to call it a night, okay? So fire away. I'm going to answer those, and then we're going to call it a night. So there we go. But yeah, we'll definitely have more behind-the-scenes content to show you guys on Star Wars. We're going to definitely talk about more stuff and do that in the future. But yeah, there's a lot coming. I mean, I got some other projects to do, but you'll see some stuff here. My one question left. Not a Star Wars one, but I'll answer this one anyway. But I'm keeping the last one to be Star Wars themed. Not a Star Wars question. Right after you're done with reviewing stuff, what's next for your channel? Well, I'm not going to stop reviewing movies. I love doing it. It's fun. But I think for me, like, I have a plan of how my time in the reviewerverse is going, how long it's going to last, and I have a time frame of, like, what I want to do before we get to it, that inevitable end when I decide to retire the show. But it won't be for a very long time. Like, you guys probably got another 10 years out of me. I'll say that. There's a lot to look forward to. We have ideas into enhancing the story, making it better, and you actually will start seeing that in this month's episode. Now, I will say this as a little disclaimer. The first 5 or 6 episodes of this year are all pre-prequel plot lines, meaning they take place before the events of the prequel trilogy. So everything from like early 2025 till May are going to be all pre-prequel stuff because we just didn't have time. We had a plan, but we ran out of time, but we're doing it this time. And you're going to be seeing a lot of build up to episode 1. But in the meantime, in between, you'll be seeing some other set pieces and plot points that we're setting up for future events. And that's all going to start with the 4th Inuyasha review, which will be out at the end of the month. You're going to be seeing a lot of expansion of the lore. And there's some twists and turns, and they're going to be like, oh, he's doing that. Okay, can't be interested. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to ask about the ARM on the next stream. Again, the ARM storyline will be followed up where I have no ARM after the pre-prequel arcs episode. So that won't be until like midsummer when you'll see me with less ARM, basically. But there you go. Let's see here. All right. So I think, honestly, guys, that is what we're going to call it for tonight. It's a very simple stream. I just want to get something out there every Wednesday. I'm trying to get back into a routine. But I really appreciate everybody coming in to ask questions about Revenge of the Sith now that it's done. How do I feel about it? I feel so relieved. This was a 6-year journey, and it was in the middle of 2 other projects, Batman and Ready Player One. But to tell you the truth, I'm glad it's done. I do plan to continue Star Wars at some point, but it won't be for a very long time. But in the meantime, I've just got so many other adventures to do, so many other projects to entail. And I think it's going to be really, I think you guys are going to enjoy what we do this year onwards. But yeah, I'm very relieved it's over. And I just cannot wait to do more content for you guys. It was such a weight to carry for 6 years. COVID was really the biggest villain of this journey. And I'm glad it's done. While there have been bigger threats that have come about, doesn't beat COVID. We're still moving. So there you go, guys. But honestly, guys, really appreciate everybody coming in. Yeah, Nick, we're hoping to get Honey Bear on for a few of the Inuyasha vlogs coming up. But guys, I really appreciate everybody who joined us on last year's journey on the prequel trilogy. It was a lot of fun. And honestly, it was fantastic. So I really appreciate everybody coming in. But again, and thank you all for coming in for this live stream. It is also appreciated. If you guys want to support us, please go check out our Patreon. We've been getting up there a little bit. $1 more will get you early access to all of our content. You can actually see the first 2 new episodes this year. The first 3, actually. Actually, that's one Dino's World. There's a new King Kong review on the way, and it's right now maybe on a paywall on Patreon, but go check that out. There is stuff happening, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So that's all for now. We'll be back next week with another live stream, but I really appreciate everybody coming in. So until the next video, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. And before we go, one last shout out. Guys, please check out Honey Bear's website, resiliencyandme.com. She goes and helps local kids who need mental health to get proper therapy. Mental health therapy is very important, especially right now. But we would appreciate you guys checking out her website, resiliencyandme.com, and help her out with her business. So until next time, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Tune in tomorrow. I need to get rid of this. 1 moment. Tune in tomorrow. You'll get another opening night. It'll be on a movie that's really bad. Stan Helsing. Oh, Lord. But that's all for now, guys. I'll see you guys later. BigJackFilms signing off. And also, Ready Player One Part 1 blooper coming out Friday. Look forward to that. There's a lot to tackle. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.